I'm Nell.
Well, hello.
Welcome to our GKG weekend. I hope you find your accommodations comfortable.
What are they teaching you here?
Well, they teach you about connecting and kissing and being passionate. Welcome to Girls Kissing Girls.
It's hard not to watch, isn't it? It's beautiful. Yes, it is.
My job is to kiss all these hot girls and you don't expect me to be human, but it's okay for you.
No, not with the clients.
There you are. The guests are arriving.
Don't worry, I'll be right down. This is the last room.
Hey. Oh, wait, and don't forget about your appointment. We could really use another girl around here. Okay.
The fourth scene functions as the emotional reckoning of the film, bringing Rose and Nell into direct alignment and revealing that what the audience has been watching across all four scenes is not simply a series of encounters, but a carefully constructed study of how women negotiate intimacy, power, and self-recognition in spaces that simultaneously invite connection and police it. And this final movement reframes everything that came before through a quieter, more vulnerable confrontation that resonates deeply with queer audiences because it articulates a truth many lesbians know but rarely see named on screen, that loving women, supporting women, and building spaces for women does not exempt anyone from jealousy, fear, or the inherited rules of a society that still struggles to accept women's desire as autonomous and meaningful. When Rose and Nell meet in this scene, the dialogue initially carries the residue of boundaries crossed and feelings exposed. But beneath the surface exchange lies a much larger conversation about labor, humanity, and emotional entitlement, particularly for queer women whose work, care, and desire are so often conflated or dismissed. Nell's frustration is not simply about professionalism or rules. It is about the fragile architecture she has built to protect something rare, a women-centered space where intimacy is treated as worthy of respect rather than spectacle. And her fear that emotional entanglements could undermine that legitimacy reflects a broader societal pressure on queer women to be flawless ambassadors for their own humanity, lest their visibility be used as justification for scrutiny or condemnation. Rose, on the other hand, embodies the tension between participation and autonomy, expressing the exhaustion of being asked to perform connection without being allowed to fully inhabit her own feelings, a dynamic that mirrors the experiences of many women in caregiving, service, or relational roles where emotional presence is expected, but personal needs are sidelined. Their argument, when viewed through a queer lens, is less about jealousy and more about recognition. Both women want their emotional realities to be seen as valid rather than inconvenient. And this desire speaks to a long history of lesbian relationships being framed either as overly intense or insufficiently serious, leaving little room for complexity. The line about watching others and acknowledging beauty becomes a pivotal moment in the film, not because it invites voyeurism, but because it names an often unspoken truth within queer communities. That witnessing women connect with women can be affirming rather than threatening, a reminder of shared humanity rather than a competition for attention. And Nell's admission that it is beautiful signals a shift from control toward acceptance, from guarding boundaries out of fear to trusting that visibility does not have to mean law. This moment challenges society's persistent discomfort with women expressing love for each other by refusing to frame that discomfort as inevitable. Instead, it shows how that discomfort is learned, reinforced by systems that profit from women's isolation and mistrust, including carceral systems that regulate bodies and emotions under the guise of order. The prison context, which threads subtly through the film's thematic fabric, becomes especially salient here, as the rules governing intimacy within the seminar echo the logic of incarceration. Connection is permitted only within strict limits. Desire must be justified as therapeutic or instructional, and any deviation risks punishment or erasure. This parallel invites viewers to consider why prison stories involving women, particularly queer women, attract such criticism and fascination, often accused of exploiting intimacy while ignoring the structural conditions that make emotional bonds both necessary and fraught in confined environments. By aligning the seminar's rules with carceral logic, the film suggests that society at large operates as a kind of open-air prison for queer women, where affection is monitored, motives are questioned, and legitimacy is constantly on trial. Rose's vulnerability in this scene, her acknowledgement that she cannot promise certainty, resonates with lesbians who have been taught to temper hope, to approach desire cautiously because the world has rarely offered guarantees of safety or permanence. Nell's response, accepting ambiguity without retreating into control, models a form of queer maturity that values honesty over possession, and this shift reframes leadership not as authority but as stewardship of collective emotional well-being. The poetic language near the scene's close, describing kissing as an art and invoking breath, listening, and hunger, functions symbolically rather than sensually, emphasizing that intimacy among women is about attunement and presence, about learning to read and respond to one another in ways that defy the transactional norms imposed by patriarchal culture. For queer women watching, this reframing can feel profoundly validating, offering a vocabulary for experiences that are often flattened or misinterpreted by mainstream narratives. Women more broadly may recognize themselves in the struggle to reconcile professional identity with emotional truth, to navigate spaces where their labor is valued but their inner lives are treated as liabilities, and to seek authenticity in relationships without sacrificing stability. The film's insistence on keeping these moments grounded and unspectacular is itself a critique of a culture that alternately fetishizes and erases lesbian intimacy, suggesting that the real radical act is not transgression but visibility rooted in care and accountability. By the time the scene resolves, the audience is invited to see all 4 scenes as variations on a single theme: women learning, often painfully, how to claim their right to connection in a world that offers conditional acceptance at best. Each character, Nell as the architect of space, Rose as the seeker of self, Katy and the others as facilitators and mirrors, represents a different strategy for surviving and thriving within constraint, and together they form a mosaic of lesbian experience that refuses simplification. The prison commentary woven through the film underscores that critique, reminding viewers that systems designed to control bodies inevitably shape hearts, and that the resilience of queer women lies not in denying desire but in finding ways to honor it without losing themselves. In centering women's emotional realities and refusing voyeuristic framing, the movie speaks directly to LGBTQ++ audiences hungry for stories that reflect their lives with nuance and respect, affirming that longing is not weakness, that intimacy is not excess, and that becoming visible, whether in love, in conflict, or in quiet understanding, is both a personal journey and a collective act of resistance.